Hi everyone, this is the Michael Myers Fanatic back with another video. A fan by the name of Eric Macbeth, shout out to him. He asked me to talk about Halloween 9, my ideas for my script, without giving too much away. He wants to know what would I emphasize and what would I avoid. And things like locations and such. Well, that's a very good question, Eric, and I love this topic. First of all of the movies are merged. It is one timeline. I want to emphasize that right off the bat. It does not ignore anything except Halloween 3. Season of the Witch. But other than that, it focuses on 1 through 8. Let me emphasize that. And another thing I want to emphasize is I have the help of several fans. And I have Dwight Little helping me with it when I get ready for him to step in. The first thing I want to emphasize is I think something happened to Michael Myers. I don't want to make it like he's a sympathetic character because he's evil. He is. But I still think something happened in 1963. I don't think he was always that way. And you're going to say, well, you don't think he was always evil? I do. But let's just put it this way. It didn't manifest itself until that night. But other than that, I think he was talking, walking, doing the normal things that 6-year-olds do. I think he was playing and all that stuff that they joked about in Resurrection, talking about he played in his sister's bedroom and all that. I believe all that. I believe that he picked up a knife and he never put it down again. So that's the first thing I'm going to emphasize. I think something happened to him that night. Or maybe the night before. Somewhere between the 30th and the 31st of 1963. That's the first thing. You mentioned locations. It would take place in Haddonfield. I would probably shoot it in Toronto because it's cheaper. Or maybe somewhere in America that looks like Pasadena, because I want it to be cheaper. And it doesn't have to look like Pasadena exactly, because we could just say that it's a different street in Haddonfield. You can live in one town and each street looks different. Each location in that town looks different. Every location is not going to look the same. So I want to make that clear. What I can give away is the family angle is gone. Yes, Laurie is still his sister, but she is dead. And speaking of Laurie, what I would do is I would emphasize the night that he came home. That very first night, 1978. Because I love the original Halloween. Here is my assessment of Laurie Strode. To me, I always thought Laurie was a sweetheart. She was a sweetie pie. I loved Laurie in the first one. And basically, in my opinion, Eric, And I'm talking to the other fans that are listening, but this is mostly for Eric because he asked for the video. But anyway, what I was saying was, Michael ruined her life. He ruined this girl's life. She didn't ask for what happened to her. She didn't want any trouble. All she wanted to do was go and babysit this child, come back home, and go to bed. That's what I get from the situation when I watched the first one. That is all she wanted to do. She didn't want any trouble. Annie and Linda are the ones that went looking for trouble. Am I saying they deserve to die? No, I am not. But I'm saying you should never go looking for trouble because you may find it. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to find it. So I want to emphasize that. This girl was not looking for trouble. She was a sweet girl that just wanted to do a nice thing for someone. And I want to emphasize that in my film. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You asked me about the characters in Halloween. I'm going to try to include as many of them as I possibly can. They're all going to be mentioned and referenced in some way, so you don't have to worry about that. That's going to happen. Especially Jamie Lloyd and Laurie Strode. They're definitely going to be mentioned, and Linda and Annie. So you don't have to worry about that. And there will be some Sam Loomis voiceovers and things of that nature. I was very influenced by Rick Rosenthal's work with Resurrection, because he said he wanted Resurrection to be like a thriller, a psychological thriller. And you're going to say, well, Myers fan, are you telling us this won't be a horror movie? Yes, it will. But it will have these elements of a psychological thriller also. And the target is a new girl. You also asked me what would I avoid. Well, what I would avoid is ignoring things. Why would you ignore timelines? That just makes it harder for you to create a story. At least if you include all of the timelines, you have more material to work with. You know? So maybe I shouldn't have given that secret away, but that's just the truth. I have 8 movies to work off of. Do you know how easy that makes my job as a writer? I enjoyed the other Halloween films, but like I said, I always felt like we never really got a proper follow-up from 78. You know, they addressed it in Halloween 2 and Halloween 4 and all that, but not really. They never really addressed it directly. I want to address it head on. How has 1978 changed that town? Because when someone is killed, it changes the town. They're never the same. It even becomes part of the town lore, part of the town folklore, the town legend. You know what I mean? They're never the same after that. You hear people whispering about it. Hey, you remember that time when that guy killed those 3 kids all those years ago? You know, I'm not saying the other murders weren't bad because I'm counting all of the movies, 1 through 8. But it's those first 3 kids. That's what everybody's going to be talking about. You remember that time when that guy, that crazy guy, he broke out of that hospital and he killed those 3 kids? You remember when that happened? You know, Michael Myers has become a legend. He sort of owns that town. He owns Haddonfield now. He owns it, and he doesn't even have to be there. I mean, it's sort of like that documentary, the fan film documentary that I watched called Michael Myers, Absolute Evil. Shout out to those guys, by the way. I love you guys. I really do. But they said something, and I hope they don't mind, but I want to use it in my film. They said Michael Myers is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He's everywhere. But then again, he's not in any specific location. He just owns Haddonfield. He's all over the place. There's nowhere you can go in Haddonfield that hasn't been tainted by Michael Myers, that hasn't been haunted by Michael Myers. This guy is all over the place. And like they said in the documentary, Michael Myers, Absolute Evil, each place that he has killed somebody is haunted. And I'm not big on ghosts, but you'd have to be an idiot to think that there isn't some kind of energy in those places where he murdered those kids. That's essentially what they were. They were kids. He killed kids. And nobody ever thinks of it like that, but I have. I thought about it like that. I've been thinking about it like that since 2005. I said, this guy killed kids. They were babies. And he just snuffed them out just like that. So I want to emphasize that in my Halloween night. I want to pay homage to John Carpenter's original film. I'm going to add the other 7, but I want to focus on that, and I want to give it a proper follow-up. I want to focus on 3 phases of Michael's life. Where he was when he was a child, where he was when he was 21, and then, you know, whatever age he was in 1988, I guess he was 31. And then he was 32 in 89, and so on and so forth. And then where he is today. I want to focus on those 3 things. And then you have things like the Curse of Thorn. Again, going back to the documentary, Michael Myers, Absolute Evil. Are we saying that it's not real? No. That's not what they were saying in that documentary. What they were saying is that I guess you could say it's somewhere in between. Because I really believe that they were trying to say in the documentary that there was some black magic. Like they did know how to use black magic, but a lot of it was bullshit. A lot of it was garbage. And I think that they used it to manipulate Michael Myers. And I think he figured that out in, which one was it? Halloween 6. And that's why he killed them. Because he was like, okay, this is bullshit. All this shit you told me about, you know, I have to kill people in order to bring balance to the conditions that afflict humanity. That was all bullshit. You just wanted this. You wanted to study me for my powers and create this super person to kill for you, and you wanted to use me to kill for you, and you manipulated me, and now I'm going to fuck all of you up. And that's what it was. So all that Thorn stuff, man, I used to be big on it. But I think, not that I'm going to ignore it in this film, it's going to be addressed. But I think a lot of it was bullshit. I do. I think that there were people that were trying to usher in Satan's kingdom on earth. Just like the documentary says. And as you can tell, Eric, I'm very inspired by that documentary. Michael Myers Absolute Evil. You guys should check it out. It's on YouTube. But I think a lot of it was bullshit. I think a lot of the Thorns, a lot of that stuff, they used it to get their way. They used it to manipulate him, to exploit him, to gain things from him. I don't think Dr. Wynn ever gave a shit about Michael Myers. And I know I'm getting off topic. I'm just saying I'm going to address all these things. He played Michael Myers like a fiddle. And then Michael Myers got him back by carving him up like a Thanksgiving turkey. And to me, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Point blank. And so I'm going to emphasize all those things. I'm going to emphasize the tragedy in 1978 and all the other murders and things like that. How it affected the town. How it affects the new girl. The death of Laurie Strode. Laurie's life and all these things. She was a sweetheart. Like I said. Michael's time when he was locked up and all that stuff. And that thorn stuff, bro. That was hogwash. They just wanted to manipulate that dude, bro, and that's just the bottom line. Alright? They wanted to get what they wanted, out of this guy. But then I think somewhere along the way excuse the expression, but they fucked up. He found out about it and killed every last one of their asses. They're dead. He killed the Thorn cult. And so I can't really give away any more than that, but I hope that was to your satisfaction, sir. And I thank you for listening to what I would do with Halloween 9. Thank you very much. I'm the Michael Myers fanatic, and I approve this message. I guess what I'm saying is, I would want this movie to feel as if it is a sequel and to feel that it follows every movie. I want this movie to sort of be like Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. You know how Freddy's Dead, even though most people don't like the movie, but it sort of wraps all of the movies up in a nice little bow. That's what I want to do. I want to put a nice bow on it and say, here's a gift to you. I'm giving this to you as a gift. This is for all the fans. That's what I want this movie to be. Because I know what I would want. I would want a movie that connects all of the movies. I would want a movie that makes me feel as if it connects to each and every one of them. So that's what I'm going to do with my script.